Everybody, and welcome back to EdTech Classroom. For today's tech tip, I'm going to be showing you how to conduct the perfect fall-themed morning meeting online. So without further ado, let's get started. I personally really love using slides during morning meeting on Zoom or Google Meet or Microsoft Teams, whatever your video call platform might be, because I think that they're a really great way for students to be visually engaged in your meeting. And I think they can really help ground students with a very clear agenda. So if we take a look at these slides here, I've created some Wednesday slides. And so I'm just going to walk you guys through these, and then I'm going to show you how I might present them with students. So first we have the morning greeting slide. So here it says, "Good morning, friends. Today is Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. It is a warm fall day. Jesse is our morning leader. Jesse, how will we greet the class today?" So I might type something like this on my first slide, which is kind of like the greeting slide for my morning meeting. Then we'll move on to the share portion of morning meeting. So for this slide, I have written, "Share. Tell us about a time when you were brave." So I really like using these social emotional prompts with my students, especially during this really confusing time. I think it's just a nice way for us to connect as a classroom community. And I particularly like this prompt because I think it really gives students the opportunity to think about a time when they were brave or courageous. Then next we'll move on to the activity portion of morning meeting. So for this one, I've created a, sort of a new version of red light, green light, basically where students pretend that they're climbing a ladder. And when I say red light, they stop. And when I say green light, they keep pretending that they're climbing. So this is just kind of a fun activity that you can do on Zoom or Google Meet. Then next we have our morning message. So I always end morning meeting with a morning message. So for this one, I've written here, "Yesterday we began writing in our writer's notebooks. Today we will continue practicing our writing skills. What will you write about today?" And so this is a really nice way to sort of introduce students to the activity that we're going to be doing after morning meeting. So basically the way that I would share this with students is I'd actually put it in presenter mode. And on Zoom, just actually how I'm recording right now, I would be screen sharing these slides so students could see me in the top corner, but they'd still be able to have this really wonderful graphic as we navigate through our morning meeting. So I'd click on each slide and walk them through the entire course of morning meeting. So I'm a really big fan of doing brain breaks. I think that right now when students are learning from a computer screen, there's just so much time that they're spending glued to their devices. So even though this is a digital activity, I think it's a really great way to get students up and moving and doing things with their bodies. So basically the way this activity works is it's a brain breaks mystery game where students can click on a button to discover their brain break challenge. Now this is something that you can share with students in an asynchronous way. So for example, you could assign this as an activity through Seesaw, through Google Classroom. But I really like to do activities like this actually live with my students in our Zoom classes. So for example, what you could do is you could call on a student. In this case, it could be your morning leader, and you could ask them to click on a button. So if you use a tool like Zoom, you could actually give that student remote control access of your screen so they can click on a button themselves. Or of course, you can also just tell them, they can also tell you which button they'd like to select. So for example, they could say something like, "Pick the 4th sunflower." So if I click on that one, it'll say, "Your brain break is skip across the room." Now you can go back to the main page and students can do another one. So for example, this one says, "Your brain break is do 5 sit-ups." And then one more example here, "Pretend you are a worm and wiggle." So like I said, I really like this Brain Breaks mystery game. I think it's really fun for students to sort of get to figure out what their brain break challenge is. And because there's 30 different options here, you can actually do this activity over the course of the entire week. You can do it for a month. Students really, really like this activity a lot. And I think it's a great way to help them stay engaged during your live Zoom meetings, and more specifically during morning meeting. So then lastly, during morning meeting, I think it's a really great idea for teachers to share their schedule with their students. So this is just one way that I've created a schedule. I've created this Bitmoji classroom basically that actually outlines the schedule for the day. So students click on each of these links here. It will actually take them to the live Zoom link for that class. So it's really easy and user-friendly for students. All they need to do is click on, Writer's Workshop, for example, and it'll take them to that meeting. Here at the bottom, you'll see that it says asynchronous time where they can see the bookshelf. So this schedule actually has asynchronous activities embedded into it. So if you look at the bookshelf on the right-hand side, you'll see that there are all these different options for students to click on. So for example, they could click on Seesaw and it would take them to a Seesaw activity. They could click on Epic and it would take them to an Epic book activity. So I think that this is just a really great idea for you to end your morning meeting. You can show something like this where students can have their schedule for the day. They can understand what they're supposed to anticipate. I think it's just a really great way to create classroom routine, schedule, different things like that online. Thank you so much for watching today's tech tip. If you liked the resources and the activities that I showed today, you can check them out in the link in the description down below. And if you liked this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I post weekly tech tips, so you can find me here at EdTech Classroom every Tech Tuesday. Bye, friends.